Welcome back to Breakdown. JJ, June 26th, Wednesday, 2024. NBA draft is tonight. College World Series just ended.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on. Before we get sports, can I ask you one philosophical question?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm always up for any existential or philosophical questions, so by all means, hit me.
Is it true that good guys finish last?
Hmm. I don't know. I think I'm a pretty good guy, and I'm happy where I'm at right now. So you tell me.
You know what? I think good guys finish last, bad guys finish last, good guys finish first, bad guys finish first. We all can do it. But let's say, JJ,
Okay.
baseball,
Baseball.
College World Series. SEC sent 4 teams to the College World Series. ACC sent 4 teams to the College World Series.
That's true.
The first 4 to exit were from the ACC.
Yeah. So that underscores the SEC dominance, does it not?
You know, the 4 World Series, College World Series, have been SEC versus SEC 3 of the last 4.
Yeah. I mean, that is saying something.
I-
That is saying something.
It is. What's your take on how they ended up? Who ended up winning it all?
Tennessee won their first College World Series ever. Congrats to them, I suppose. A former Arkansas assistant coach is the manager for the Tennessee Vols. So
Yeah.
so good for him in their program. Christian Moore led it. In the rubber match, he led the scoring off with a homer to it was the first at bat.
Started the game.
Third pitch was a home run, and
Set the tone.
set the tone, and Tennessee ended up winning by 1 run. So he didn't get the most outstanding player, but I think he was the most outstanding player of the postseason for them.
JJ, what was the second most biggest thing to happen regarding the College World Series?
College World Series.
Other than Tennessee winning, what was the second biggest thing?
Texas A&M
Losing who?
losing a couple of things. They lost the game, and they also lost their head coach. Even though just a day before their head coach left, he was asked about it. It was the day that Tennessee won. After in the post game interview, a reporter asked, I can't pronounce his name. It's
Schwarzenegger, something like that.
something like that. I know it starts with an S. But I asked him if the rumors about him heading over to Austin, Texas, they've been around for about a month at least, if those were true. And he said, well, that was just a ridiculous question. It's a unfair question. It was a selfish question. He went to stand on the virtues of Texas A&M and how he came here, and he didn't have any plans on ever leaving and anything like that.
So 24 hours later, what happened?
He packed up and went to Austin.
Man, not a long travel, not a long trip for him.
No.
But JJ, he's had a history of performing well as a manager. He was 16 years at TCU. They went to 5 College World Series while he was there. They only missed the college playoff twice in those 16 years. 3 years at Texas A&M got them into the World Series 2 years.
Yeah.
Finished second this year. Now he heads to Texas. Texas and A&M are kind of rivals, wouldn't you say?
Somewhat. I know Texas. They definitely have a rivalry. I'm not sure if Texas A&M is happy with where they stand in that rivalry, but yeah, they're definitely rivals. I mean, it's the reason their rivalry is in part why the Big 12 doesn't exist. Longhorn Network came to be, and Texas A&M just would not stand for that, and they left for the SEC. And
so
what do you know?
how are the fans at A&M taking this move to Texas?
Just the way you'd expect it, incredibly rationally and very calmly, and not fanatical at all. You know what? They're handling it worse than I remember. There was another Texas school that lost their coach to the University of Texas. Texas Tech went to the championship game in basketball, and at Texas Tech, Chris Beard did that, and then the next year he moved his stuff to Texas.
I think it's a different story when Texas Tech lose their coach to Texas A&M priced themselves as being equal to Texas.
They think that, and while they might be that way financially, they have not been that in any way that stands out on the field. They haven't won a championship in men's football, basketball, or baseball since before 1930, since before World War One.
So you tell me Texas is a better job than A&M right now?
Yes, Texas is a better job. It was a better job yesterday. It's a better job today. It's going to be a better job tomorrow, and that includes basketball, football, and baseball.
So when Jimbo Fisher went to Texas A&M, that wasn't a better job than Texas?
Well, if Jimbo Fisher can get the same money he got at Texas, I mean, he got a contract that I don't foresee anybody getting again for a lot of different reasons. You throw that many million at anybody, and that's the best job. That's going to be the best job in the country.
JJ, I don't want to stay on this too long, but when it comes to facilities, is Texas facilities hand over fist better than A&M?
They're not better, but they can be just as good.
What makes Texas the better school?
It's the staple school of the university. It's in a better city. It has more tradition. It has more. It has more money, I think, even than Texas A&M, which I think has the second most money. I just think that it's the place where if you're in Texas, it's where you want to be. It's the flagpole university of the school of the state.
And I agree with you. So what does this do to the ego of A&M?
I mean, it's gonna put them probably where they where they actually are, and not where they feel like they should be because they have all this money. It's probably a hit to the ego, but Texas A&M is a very weird place. They have the 12th man, and it used to be a military institution that didn't allow women until the 70s. It has it's very steeped in tradition, and that tradition, I think, from a lot of people from the outside looking in, is very weird. But it serves them well in a lot of different other ways. But I mean, they're nothing if not passionate. But I think all Texas really has that the only negatives that Texas really has is like the Eyes of Texas song that you have to sing after a football game.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, other than that, like Texas A&M wins on every single way and on every single level. It's like it's where everybody wanted to be. Andrew Luck wanted to go to Texas. Jameis Winston wanted to go to Texas. Robert Griffin III wanted to go to Texas. All these guys, all these quarterbacks wanted to go to Texas.
But they didn't get offered.
Well,
JJ, go ahead. You had something else?
No. It was just Texas is in pole position for that state.
Before we go to the NBA draft that's happening tonight, and you mentioned Texas A&M. We were talking about those two schools. Let's talk kind of quickly about EA Sports ranking of the football stadiums, the toughest places to play.
Yeah, well, EA Sports hadn't been releasing the college football game for the past decade because of the problems with name, image, likeness, et cetera, et cetera.
NIL.
There was like a case between Ed O'Bannon and he got some back pay, so they just stopped making the game for about a decade. I think Denard Robinson was the last cover athlete for that sport. Well, they're bringing it back, and one of the things that they're adding to it is they're making visible like the rankings of the 25 toughest atmospheres to play in college football.
Okay.
And the reason we are using Texas A&M to pivot off of that is because, surprisingly enough, they came in number one.
So their stadium, their environment is the toughest place for an opponent to go to, according to EA.
I guess so. I mean,
Sports.
I know Texas A&M is 24-20 since joining the SEC. Like the SEC, the other SEC schools are 24-20 against Texas. No, Texas A&M is 24-20 against the other SEC schools since joining the SEC. So,
Man, if you took Arkansas out of that, they'd be pretty bad.
well, they don't play. A lot of those aren't played in Kyle Field because those are played in Jerry World. But at College Station, they're 24-20. So. The results don't necessarily match up with the rankings, but I do understand it. The environment is incredibly raucous and rowdy.
And I'm gonna disagree with EA Sports quick, fast, in a hurry, because I think the toughest place to play, the toughest environment, is without a doubt LSU, especially if it's a night game, because they like to partake in some some liquid courage the fans do before the kickoff, and that place get unheard of. But JJ,
Yeah.
how did the SEC and the Big Ten do in ranking those stadiums?
Well, the SEC had the top 3 teams. They had 4 of the top 6 teams. And the SEC and the Big Ten had all of the top 8 teams.
Who are the 2 toughest environments in the Big Ten? What are the 2 toughest environments in the Big Ten to play a football game?
You know, I would go with Penn State and Ohio State.
I would agree with you. EA ranked them what? Ohio State was ranked 4, and Penn State was ranked 6.
Mm-hmm.
I would have Penn State ahead of Ohio State this year. Where was those national champions at?
Yeah, the Michigan Wolverines. They did medal. They didn't medal. They did place. They came in the top 20, which was kind of surprising to me. I've been to a few, University of Michigan football games, and it was built. The stadium was built, 100 years ago, and it was built in a specific way. It's not, the acoustics weren't built to keep those inside. So it doesn't ever feel that loud at Michigan Stadium. But they came in 16th.
They came in 16th. Michigan State Spartans came in 22nd, and the Razorbacks of Arkansas came in 23.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just less than 100 days away, JJ. I can't wait. But let's talk about the key event for tonight, and that would be
tonight's first round of the NBA draft, because this is going to be the first year that the NBA draft doesn't take place in just one day. They're splitting it in half, and the first round will be tonight, Wednesday, and then Thursday is when we'll all gather and see where Bronny James is going.
Who's Brian James?
I don't know who Brian James is, but Bronny James is LeBron's son.
I'm sorry, I misheard you. Will we find that out tonight, or will we find that out tomorrow?
No, we're going to find out tomorrow. And I think you needed somebody with that much name recognition to anchor a second round, because this is supposed to be a pretty weak draft, and the second round of it is not, outside of Bronny James, it's not going to have a whole lot of name recognition.
How did you anticipate the SEC and the Big Ten to do in the draft this year?
I don't think that they're going to do great. I also don't think they're going to do poorly. I think they're going to be well represented. I think the SEC will have the first couple of players taken off the board before the Big Ten. I think Reed Shepherd is projected to go top 5 from most places, and Dalton Knecht is projected to be a top 10 lottery pick.
Okay, so Shepherd is the point guard from Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Knecht is the power forward from Tennessee.
Shooting guard, small forward, wing from Tennessee.
Okay. Do you have? They're projected to go first rounders.
Yeah, they're supposed to go in the top 10.
Tell me about the top players, even though they're not SEC or Big Ten. Who are the projected guys to go 1, 2, or something like that?
Yeah. So Alex Sarr has publicly, declined to work out for Atlanta for whatever reason. He does not want to be on Atlanta. It sounds like.
Who is he?
Alexander Sarr. He was the preeminent pick to go number 1 in this draft for the past couple of years. He's Olivier Sarr's younger brother. Olivier Sarr, you remember him? He played 1 season at Kentucky after transferring from Wake. They're originally from France, the Sarr family, and Alexander Sarr bounced around. He played in some leagues in Europe for a while. Then he came to America and did what was it, G League, or was it Ignite or the G League? I don't know. He played for some school in America, and then he ended up going pro in New Zealand or Australia. And so he's just bounced around a lot. He's
So he's projected to be the first pick of the draft this year.
Yeah, and in a normal draft you would go 5th or 6th, is what people were saying. But this is kind of a diluted draft, so he's the projected 5th first pick until recently. Zachary Ricochet has usurped him as the consensus number 1 to go to Atlanta now.
Okay.
6'8" wing. He's a streaky shooter. He shot about 43% from 3. But it's kind of misleading because he started off shooting about 65% from 3 the first couple of months of the season, and the last couple of months of the season he shot in the 20s or low 30s, and that's kind of the way it's been for him his entire career. So he's a streaky shooter, but he's a wing combo forward that brings a lot to the table. So
Okay, so you mentioned Kentucky and Tennessee with two guys going kind of early. Uh, who from the Big Ten will be going early?
Zach Edey. I've heard Zach Edey could go anywhere from 6 to 25.
That's a humongous range.
It is
Why,
a
why,
wide
why is
range.
this range so wide?
Because of how unique he is as a player versus the transition of the NBA game. If this was like 20 years ago, he'd be the number one pick with a bullet, and it wouldn't even be a thought. But the game has moved away from the interior post presence that we used to see in the 90s with Akeem and Patrick Ewing and
Sir,
David Robinson and Shaq and all of these guys. It's kind of moved away from that. Even though the two of the past three MVPs have been centers in the NBA, Joel Embiid and Denver's big man, who is not Luka Doncic. I always conflate them.
I know the guy you're talking about, the European.
I can't remember his name. He's from Slovenia anyway.
But
Two-time NBA MVP.
No, we talked about the Big Ten. Zach Edey, probably the first guy from the Big Ten to go. Who else represent the Big Ten in the draft? You think?
Terrence Shannon Jr. He recently got some good news as it pertains to his ongoing court case where he was found not guilty.
And he's
from Illinois by way of Texas Tech.
okay.
From Chicago originally. He's played a couple of years at Texas Tech, then transferred, played a couple more at Illinois. He tried to transfer to the University of Michigan, but he was not admitted, much to John Howard's chagrin, I'm sure.
Okay.
So he's supposed to go pretty high. Kalel Ware from Indiana is a sophomore center that's projected to go in the first round. He was a McDonald's All-American 5-star. And Cam Christie from Minnesota.
Okay. Cam Christie. He had a brother that played with Michigan State.
He did.
How's his brother doing?
His brother, doesn't really play that much for the Lakers. But he, he's in the NBA. Like he gets. I saw him play in a playoff game this past year. So
Okay.
he's doing okay.
So the potential is his brother will be in the NBA and he will be in the NBA.
He's projected to go in the first round.
Okay.
Max Christie, fell to the second round. He had a pretty poor shooting year his first year at MSU and really hasn't regained his shooting touch. He came into Michigan State as a shooter, and his calling card in the NBA and while at Michigan State was his defense more so than his shooting. So if he ever gets that situated, he could be a quality rotation player in the NBA. But I don't know. Sometimes your shooting just you work on it, you change your shooting motion, and things don't really work out.
Well, JJ, before we shut it down for today, what is the biggest thing that one should take away from today's draft? Or the biggest thing they should look for?
Who the Detroit Pistons take, because that's all I care about. We can take a Modest Buzelis. Modest Arvidas Buzelis. Born and raised in Chicago, just like the name would suggest. Everybody would think that.
So if the Pistons take this guy, tell me more about him.
6'9". He weighs under 190 is the issue, but very confident. Good shooter. Very, very, very long and streaky. Very confident. He's publicly came out and said the reason.
Excuse me.
He said the reason Alexander Sarr didn't want to go to Atlanta was because he was having a workout there, and he said Sarr was scared to see him. Doesn't lack for confidence, but his parents are Lithuanian. They both played in the professional league basketball leagues in Lithuania, and then they moved to Chicago before he was born to raise him in America. So,
well, JJ, we could talk, but I don't want to get off into it. We talked about it before the WNBA. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, they hooked up again last week and set records.
Yeah, they broke the record that they had set previously a couple weeks before. The most watched WNBA game since 2001. They had broken that in the first time, and then there was a rematch, and this was another tightly contested game. It was a close game. Angel Reese had 25 points, 16 rebounds. Caitlin Clark, did well herself. Chicago got the win. I think that's going to be a rivalry to watch in the future. It might be the new like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird type of scenario, but Indiana and Chicago are not far at all from one another.
Take my word on this. Before their careers are over, they're going to play a game where the viewership is going to be double digits in the millions. Double-digit millions.
Well, I believe that'll happen. The last game of the WNBA season if they ever make it to the championship, or if they ever play in the playoffs, and I can see that happening.
Well, JJ, that's going to be it for tonight, man. We got to get in and get ready to watch this NBA draft. You ready to do it?
I'm ready.
Before we go, WPS, Woo Pig Suey. WPA was a program that Roosevelt did back in the 30s, but we won't talk about that. WPS, can we get out of here?
Who they?
All right. Bam.